Hey, social work students. Welcome to week 11 and chapter 11. We're going to talk about mostly verbal following skills this week, but we're also going to talk a little bit about contracting with your clients. And this is a great week. There's a lot of important information, some good assignments I think you'll learn a lot from. And I wanted to start out by introducing a little friend. So this is Penelope.
Hi.
She helped me a lot when I was a school social worker.
Hi, I'm Penelope. Hi.
I'm not a ventriloquist, so I have to move my mouth.
Hi, guys. Welcome to class. Hope you're all learning a lot. I'm a cowgirl, and I like to sing la 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 la. And Mrs. D is going to talk to you today about contracting and verbal following. So, hope you're all ready to learn. Okay, am I done?
Yes, you're done. Bye, Penelope.
Bye. Bye, guys. Oh, I just had to fix my hair. Bye.
Okay, so yeah, attention getter. Isn't she cute? I love Penelope. She's one of my favorite toys. Yes, my office is still full of toys. That experience of being a school social worker was so much fun. I just loved it. It was exhausting too, but it was fun. Oh, hi, Daisy. Do you want to come play too? Daisy really likes Penelope. When she hears that voice, she gets excited. Okay, so verbal following. What exactly? I wanted to share some definitions with you about verbal following. And first of all, the term furthering is an important term. This is about encouraging the client to talk, and it also demonstrates, it's demonstrating to the client that the social worker is carefully listening. When we're furthering, we are responding, and we're going to express some prompts that communicate the social worker is tracking and is interested and is following. So furthering is an important concept. Paraphrasing. When we paraphrase, we are restating the client's message succinctly in their own words, and the focus tends to be on content versus feeling, okay? Obviously, that emotional support is going to be ever present, but this is about the content of what they're saying to make sure that we understand. Paraphrasing allows the social worker to check their understanding with the client's statement. Seeking concreteness. This helps the clients to discuss their experiences using explicit terms rather than abstract or general terms, okay? This also helps clients identify their specific feelings. It focuses on the here and now, and it expresses the details of their experience. And sometimes you might clarify with the client details that they weren't even aware of. You might, in seeking concreteness, you might share some of your understanding of theories of family dynamics. For example, if you are working with someone who played the role of scapegoat in their family, and they were the individual in the family that a lot of people dumped on and blamed things on, then you can use the term scapegoat. They might not have heard that before. And you can share that is a common practice in dysfunctional families, and it can clarify for that person. You might watch your client have an aha moment about, oh yeah, that was me. It's really important that you understand, a lot of reading is important for social workers. There's a wonderful book out there about codependency, Codependent No More, and some of these different roles are shared in that book. Make sure that you're just reading voraciously. I love Audible. I love audiobooks, and so I'm constantly listening to books to learn the latest theories, the latest techniques. This is an important aspect of what you're going to do. The next term I want you to understand really well is summarizing. This provides the client with a condensed version of what you heard them say when you summarize, an important skill. Questioning, these are often you can use open-ended or closed-ended. Obviously, when we use an open-ended question, we're inviting the client to express themselves. When we're using closed-ended questions, and I'm not saying don't use closed-ended questions are more useful when you are clarifying what's going on with the client. So questions that should never be used would be leading questions. Sometimes we call them stacked questions. So the next term I want you to understand is focusing skills. Open-ended questions and seeking concreteness and empathic responding, these are all focusing skills. I need you to understand active versus reflective listening. How are they similar? How are they different? Active listening is reflective listening and vice versa. If you're reflective listening, you're active listening. This is a set of listening skills used in problem resolution. The listener paraphrases the message that is sent by the communicator, okay? And confrontation is an important term. It's a method of helping the client to become more self-aware of components of the thoughts, feelings, or behaviors of which the client is unaware. They might not be aware themselves of some of their own behaviors. Sometimes they might say one word that will uncover something huge. For example, I had a client who, and a lot of the times these will be Freudian slips. You remember the Freud stuff from your Psych 101. A Freudian slip is when someone says something that means something completely different. It often might have a sexual component. And so these when you confront a client, you're identifying problems in their communication, you're addressing self-defeating patterns of behavior, but you're also identifying the client's strengths. Very, very important. Components of effective confrontation include they support the goals of therapy. You've established goals with your client. What are you wanting to get out of therapy? And so effective confrontation is going to support that goal. You might remind a client if they had a goal to get a better job, you might remind them in confrontation some of the many goals that they had behind this big goal. Okay, goals often are achieved when we have goals that meet the goal. Okay, so if the big goal is to get a better job, then the goals underneath it include getting out of bed in the morning, right? Brushing your teeth. We might help the client, empower them with something as simple as a to-do list, right? That big to-do, the big goal at the bottom of the to-do list is to get a better job, but the little mini goals that make up that big one include getting out of bed, taking a shower, all the little components of the day that are going to empower that person to, in the end, get a better situation for their own employment. Components of effective confrontation also include meeting the client's needs. They're appropriately timed. We're not going to confront a little gal with an eating disorder in the first couple of sessions that we have with her. We're probably going to need to spend some time building rapport. So confrontation needs to be timed effectively. Confrontation is specific and it's always client-based, okay? It's never about our goals. It's about the client's goals. It's about the client. Barriers to communication include transference. If you are triggered yourself personally by a client's experience, then you need to be aware of that, and you need to acknowledge that, and you need to step back. There are times that you might even need to refer a client out to someone else. Another barrier might be the client's fear of the social worker's response. Sometimes and oftentimes you will be viewed as an authority figure to a client. So you need to be aware of that. You know, you're not their friend. You're their social worker, your therapist, whatever role you're in, case manager. You are someone that they might deem as an authority figure. And so recognizing that there's a certain fear that that client has, it may be in your power to return their children to them or to remove their children from them. So, yeah. Oftentimes, when I was doing clinical work, I would work with parents that were very protective of their children, and so their mama bear claws would show. And guess what? They were being protective, and so social workers need to be careful about analyzing what the behavior is about. If they're being protective of their children, but their mama bear claws are showing, it could be interpreted that they are bears, that they're grizzly bears, not mama bears. And so helping clarify that with a client can be a very good strategy. Another barrier to communication might be the client's own denial. If the social worker minimizes something that they're experiencing that they've interpreted as huge in their life, that can go south really fast. Clients might feel a responsibility for their situation. They might feel very judged. You need to check your behavior, make sure that you are not misinterpreting what's being communicated to you. I had a situation in which a client was brought in, court ordered to take a domestic violence classes, and because I had worked with so many clients who, in fact, about 99% of my clients were either drunk or high when they committed their domestic violence, that was my knee jerk. That's what I assumed had happened with this individual. And when I referred to that, she became very, very offended. And she said, "You don't understand, for religious reasons and because my own father was an alcoholic, I have never touched a drink in my life. And for you to assume that, you know," anyway, she clarified for me in a hurry, and I recognized that I had had a stereotypical response to an assessment situation, which was very, very wrong. And I had to step back. I had to apologize profusely and recognize, clients know that you're human, and that's okay. You can be human, but also you need to acknowledge your mistakes and go from there. Another term that we've talked a lot about, but I think can never be talked about too much, is confidentiality. The laws and rules of professional ethics that regulate the disclosure of information obtained in psychotherapy is what confidentiality is. And so making sure that that's a huge part of what we're doing. You notice I try. In fact, it's so funny when I give you guys examples of clients that I've worked with, I often change their name, their age, their gender. I'd never use their name, but yeah. So privileged communication. This is a legal concept that refers to the admission of evidence from court. And these are all terms that will help you in furthering or in following with your clients. Very important concept. And we're going to talk a little bit about contracting today as well. So contracting and assessing are something that are always going on as you're working with client. A good principle to follow is to think big, but to do small. So there's a natural flow in the process that moves from assessing into contracting, right? Following is part of that. And when we assess the client, we identified the issues that the client's dealing with. We listened for dominant issues, for dominant themes in the individual's life. We would summarize. We would report within our written work. At first, you're going to be working pretty closely with a supervisor, and so reporting is an important part of that as well. we would reflect the issue back, demonstrating our understanding of the client's viewpoint and perspective, and making sure that we understand the client's issues in a very, very clear way. So we've established goals with the client. We've written down what we think are some of the most important goals for that client to achieve, and those goals have come from them, not us. So a good acronym for helping a client achieve a goal and in contracting with the client includes the word SMART. Okay, here's the acronym for you. SMART. Really cool acronym. So let's say that the client's goal is spending more time with their children, and we want this goal to be specific, S, be measurable, M, be attainable, A, be realistic, R, and T, it has a time frame. So SMART. Daisy, are you okay, honey bun? You want to come sit on mommy's lap? Okay, come on. Okay, she's fine in her count. So the goal of the client is spending more time with their kids. Is it specific? I'd like to spend more quality time with my children. Yeah, specific, because she included the term quality, right? Are you spending more time with your children if you're, sitting around watching Disney Plus all day? Okay, you're spending more time, but is it quality time? So do you see how that one word makes it more specific? Is it measurable? I'd like to spend at least half an hour a day. Okay, yeah, that is measurable. Is it attainable? I can work up to spending a half an hour a day over the next month. Okay, that makes it a little more clear, makes it attainable, gives you boundaries for that goal. Is it realistic? I will spend 30 minutes on Monday, Thursday, and Friday this week with my child. Is that realistic for most people? Hopefully, yeah. And T, has it a time frame? I will start by spending 30 minutes 3 days this week and then work up to 5 days in 2 weeks. Yeah, that's a good goal, good time frame. SMART, remember those. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time frame. So making the goals specific is where contracting comes into play. We can create worksheets for these goals. And sometimes this is really good, especially if your client is a more visual learner. Writing down can be very effective. Having the client write it down, depending on their age and literacy levels, this can be an effective thing. If they are young or not literal, not they don't have good literacy skills, then you can write it down. With children, with teenagers, sometimes even with adults and elderly, markers are great. Using cardboard stock, poster board, something that helps. And having a good supply of these things in your office is pretty elemental and can be very, very helpful to help these visual clients. When you're contracting, using these tools, using markers, using poster board, things like that can be, a little more dramatic, a little more effective. Developing an action plan is a big part of contracting, and identifying what the action steps are. So as you're assessing and contracting, a big part of what you're doing is planning for your evaluation at the end. These activities, assessing and contracting, continue throughout your work with the client. And during the contracting phase of social work practice, you are, on the basis of assessment and in conjunction with the client, you're attempting to define clearly the issues and goals for work and to develop plans likely to resolve the identified issues and achieve the final goals. This is what contracting is all about. So you are going to find it a very, very useful tool. There are some wonderful templates out there for contracting with clients. I would use a very basic contract in working with clients who were suicidal. And of course, as you're evaluating this, a lot of what we do is keep our clients safe, evaluating, analyzing if they are at danger to themselves or others is an important part of what we do. And contracting is a very good way of it's not a done deal when you do a contract with a client that they are not going to harm themselves or others, but there's studies out there that show that there is very much an increased safety measure by doing these contracts. Now sometimes you still might need to make sure that they're getting medical attention, sending them to the emergency room, yada yada. but often a contract can be a very effective measure if you analyze them and you recognize that they are not necessarily a danger to themselves for others. With this contract in place, then part of what you're doing is covering your own tushy by making sure that you note in your chart about this client that you did a contract, that you did everything in your power to keep them safe. So contracting, following, these are very important concepts. Please don't hesitate to call, text, or email me if you have any questions about this week's assignments. And I look forward to hearing from you.